Ready, set, hut, hut!
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50 to 10 to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tavon Austin.
But Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth.
It's Mountaineer pride.
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season.
And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another live stream here on the Country Roads Webcast, May 30th edition. Got a few WVU sports topics to talk about here. The main thing, of course, WVU football announcing the kickoff times for the first three non-conference games of the season. We know the kickoff times and pretty much the networks as well for these first three games of the season. We'll dive in on that momentarily. But, of course, before we get to all that and get to all the news that I got, as always, want to encourage you guys, as is the case always with these live streams, throw your thoughts in the chat there, questions, anything you got there. Love to conversate with you guys and hope you guys are having a great day today. And hopefully we'll get to some fun Mountaineer stuff to talk about. And I think it'll be a fun stream here going throughout. But just two favors I want to ask you guys, and this helps whether you're watching this live or if you're watching this after the fact on a playback. If you hit the thumbs up button, really helps a ton with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're a WVU football fan and you haven't already, just hit that subscribe button. Really helps a ton here, helps the channel grow, and that pushes out more West Virginia football content, which is what we're all looking to do here, is get the West Virginia brand bigger and better, right? But appreciate everybody that's hopping in here live. With no further ado, let's get into the kickoff times that have been announced for West Virginia. You guys probably saw this, but just in case if you hadn't, it was kind of rumored that Penn State may end up being a noon game. I'll kind of give my thoughts on that after I go through kind of the article here, the release from WVU. This is, of course, the official press release from WVUsports.com. At least it is big noon, Fox big noon kickoff. They're coming to Morgantown week 1. So that is the silver lining, but, kind of a little mixed thoughts for me. But let's get into it here. Mike Montoro shared this earlier today, highlighting the home schedule this year. The WVU Penn State season opening game and 61st meeting all time has been selected by Fox as its big noon Saturday game. The Fox big noon game pregame show, the biggest pregame party of the weekend, is also coming to Morgantown, and we'll broadcast live from Morgantown, which is cool. It's not College Game Day, but it's kind of like the Fox version of College Game Day, right? And, we're always clamoring for College Game Day to come to Morgantown. Well, at least, right off the bat, we're getting, Fox big noon kickoff, which is pretty cool. Fans will have a chance to join Mountaineer Nation on national TV from one of the most exciting campuses in college football with its exclusive one-of-a-kind atmosphere. The show provides a preview of the day's top games, plus detailed analysis. The big noon kickoff pregame show will broadcast from the Almost Heaven Village, which, of course, I'm sure a lot of people that went to the spring game saw. And, of course, last year they kind of unveiled that as well, right there between the light blue and the teal lots. And it's going to start at 10 a.m. So hopefully, get there early if you want to get a spot there. I'm going to probably try and get there myself a little bit early. I'm trying to catch a little bit of this big noon kickoff live and then head into the stadium. It's kind of my plan for the game, hopefully. Rob Stone will anchor the desk, which includes college football legends Mark Ingram, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Urban Meyer, three-time national champion winning coach, of course. The Bear provides viewers with his expertise during his segment, while award-winning reporters Bruce Feldman and Tom Rinaldi provide additional insight and exclusive interviews. So noon kickoff for the opener against Penn State. Like I said, I'll give my thoughts after I share the press release. But then we also got the kickoff times for the other two non-conference games, of course, those being Albany and the Backyard Brawl. West Virginia will get a later kick against Albany. It'll be one of those games, and this kind of has been the case for West Virginia's FCS opponent the past couple of seasons. It's a quasi-night game. That's what I like to call it, because obviously it's early September, so it's not going to be dark at 6. But by the time the second half rolls around, you're going to be getting into a little bit of darkness, a little bit of a night game type atmosphere there. So West Virginia's Week 2 game against Albany on Saturday, September 7th. Will be on ESPN Plus, and it will be at 6 p.m. And then, of course, the Backyard Brawl, West Virginia traveling to Pitt, Old Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium, hoping to redeem ourselves after we should have beat them the first time and let it slip through our fingers, quite literally, pun intended. But the Backyard Brawl against Pitt on Saturday, September 14th will be televised on ESPN or ESPN2. So that's why I said pretty much knowing the networks, because we know Fox Week 1, we know ESPN Plus Week 2, and we know we're going to be on one of the ESPN's Week 3 against Pitt. We just don't know if it's ESPN or ESPN2. But either way, we're going to be playing that game at 3:30. Not mad about not having to go play a night game there again. We'll take the 3:30 kickoff and go in there and whoop some Panther tail on September 14th. And then that goes on to say, starting with the September 21st matchup against Kansas, the Big 12 conference game times and network partners will be released on either a 12-day or 6-day window. So we'll obviously learn about the conference games down the line. But we now know the first 3, noon for Penn State, 6 for Albany, and 3:30 for Pitt. So that's kind of the details. As far as my thoughts, I'm a little bit okay. The Fox Big Noon kickoff thing kind of offsets it for me a little bit, and I'm not as upset as I initially was when these reports started coming out. But I can't lie, it irks me a little bit in multiple ways, because I was really, you guys know, I was hoping to see us unveil those black uniforms. Penn State hit us with the white out. I was hoping to hit them with the coal rush in a night game. And then that's my second big issue, is just the fact that it's really, I hate the fact that we had to go play a night game at Penn State, very tough environment, and they don't get the return night game here. They don't have to come and see what a night game at Mountaineer Field's like now. It's been, 30 years since they've had to do that, probably at least. So, it would be a raucous environment. That place is going to be rocking at noon. Don't get me wrong. I know it's going to be a madhouse regardless for this Penn State game, but there's just something about those night games in Morgantown. I think we all know that. Mountaineer Field's very special at any time, of course, but just at night, it's just got that a little something extra. And the fact that we had to play them at night last year, I was really hoping, in all, being fair, that we would get the chance to play them at night here. Not the case. So I did want to take a chance and throw out my frustration, rant a little bit about that real quick, because I am a little bit ticked off about that it's not a night game. One, I want to see those black uniforms as soon as possible. That's not happening now. You're not going to break those out at noon, late August, not wearing all black. So that's not going to happen against Penn State. Probably looking at a blue, gold, just the traditional uniform would probably be my best guess. And maybe later on in the season, we'll break those out. Maybe it'll be, for that first Big 12 conference game against Kansas. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Both of us could potentially be contenders. So if we're both, undefeated at that time, maybe we get a late kick for that Kansas game and we do break those out. Because let's not forget, we need some revenge on Kansas as well. Because, last time they came into Morgantown, it didn't go well for us. And, that was kind of what sent that season down, a path that we weren't expecting it to go. And so we really need to, right the ship this year, get our revenge on Kansas. And, hopefully that shows us, a better path to a successful season that we're hoping to have. And, much like that game a couple of years ago, kind of turned the tide in the wrong way. Maybe this one will be the one that, points us in the right direction and gets us on, what I think could be a really special season. But it all starts with that first game, of course, against Penn State. And I think that we've got a great chance in that one. Obviously, we're double-digit underdogs, but, I would love to have it at noon, but at night, but having it at noon, irregardless, it's going to be rocking in Morgantown at Mountaineer Field for sure. But having said that, that was the main piece there. So I wanted to get that off, right here at the top. I do have a few other things I'm going to go through here, but encourage you guys, share your thoughts. Are you as irked as me that it's not a night game against Penn State? Were you hoping to see those black uniforms as well? Or are you cool with the, noon kickoff, considering that you're getting the Fox Big Noon to come? And that's another, activity, I guess, that can be a draw for fans, something extra that's not there all the time, as you can go watch the Big Noon kickoff show. So don't get me wrong. It's not all bad. I just had my heart set on a night game, but I think, getting Fox Big Noon kickoff, that shows, that they're highly regarding this matchup across the nation as well. So definitely not a bad thing by any means, but just had to, rant a little bit there. Got to let those frustrations out sometimes, right? But other than that, I do have a few other, things of WVU football news and note to talk about. Let's go back here to this one, which is a couple kind of, I guess, off topic or WVU football adjacent things. Of course, one of those big things is the EA Sports College football video game. That's been a big topic as of late. They dropped the reveal trailer last week. They're dropping a gameplay trailer tomorrow. Obviously, WVU is going to be featured in that heavily. Can't wait to see, what Mountaineer Field looks like. They've put a ton of detail into this game. But if you want to hear me wax poetic about this video game specifically, check me out on my other channel on YouTube, JC's Pop Culture. But we do have this now, which is the tier rankings that EA used to pay out the universities for this game, to use their uniforms, logos, all that stuff, right? So West Virginia actually was ranked as a tier 2 program, according to EA Sports. And the way that they kind of calculated this was based on AP poll finishes over the past decade, I believe it was. And so with how they figured it up, there were 13, what they called tier 1 schools, but a ton of tier 2 schools, and West Virginia is in that tier 2 category, as you can see us here. And it amounts to a pretty significant, higher payout than, being tier 3 or tier 4. As you can see, the tier 1 programs got nearly $100,000, but West Virginia being there at tier 2 got paid nearly $60,000 by EA Sports Tier 2B in the video game. So West Virginia there as a tier 2 program. Just wanted to share that. And then, of course, yet another thing that is from EA Sports College Football as well is this potential leak, which is from the video game. Now, I don't know if this actual image is legit, but I do know that, earlier they had leaked a UCF and USF team matchup selection screen, and the picture looked very similar. Now, could someone have taken that and, molded it and photoshopped in some different teams and did this? Very much so. And I'm kind of hoping personally that this actually isn't real, because I don't like the ratings. They were super underrated right there. Funny enough, I actually posted this on the Country Roads Webcast Instagram on the Instagram story, and Hammond Russell, our nose tackle, he responded and he felt the same way, that they were criminally underrated there on the defensive side. So, this came originally, you can see, of course, the watermark there. It's from Barstool, Cincinnati, but it's supposedly maybe a leaked image from the new EA Sports College football game. If so, let's hope those ratings aren't final, because I think the Mountaineers definitely underrated. Defensively is low, but offense, man, they got to be at least 85, I would say, at least on offense, right? You would think. But nonetheless, it's still pretty cool to see, and can't wait to see WVU on this game. You see the old school logo there on the bottom. I'm sure that's going to be incorporated some way. They've sent out a ton of assets to EA, and EA Sports, has come out in the past couple of days and said on average each team has about 4 helmets, 3 jerseys, and 3 pants included on the base version of the game. So I think that, we'll have some good uniform selection for WVU. Hopefully our new set will be on there. But wanted to show that just because it's pretty cool to look at and see and get us excited for July. If you're a fan of video games, you can play with the Mountaineers early and get a look at the 2024 Mountaineers before we get a chance to watch them in the fall. And, get to incorporate some of those new college football rules as well. The 2-minute warning and stuff, you can experience it in the video game. But as I said, if you want more information about that video game, I have another YouTube channel called JC's Pop Culture here on YouTube, where I, talk movies, TV shows, and video games. I have nearly 40 videos providing updates on the EA Sports College Football 25 video games. So pretty much anything you want to know, you can find that there. Just look up JC's Pop Culture on YouTube there. But having said that, WVU Earl, appreciate you hopping in here, sharing your thoughts. And he shares kind of the same sentiment as I do. He really wanted a night game as well. Yeah, it only seems right, especially the fact that we had to go there and play a night game. You thought it would be, right back here for the home and home, we would get the night game too. I guess maybe, getting the Fox Big Noon kickoff, they think kind of alleviates that, or however you want to put it. But in my opinion, it doesn't. I'm upset, but I think it's cool though. I will get to, go watch a little bit of the Big Noon kickoff show. So I can't complain too much, just, being a little butthurt that it's not a night game and then we're not going to see the Coal Rush unis. But appreciate you hopping in the chat there, WVU Earl. If anyone else is in here live and wants to, throw in any of your thoughts, or of course, any questions you got as well, you can drop those in the chat and I'll try and answer those also. But I'm going to scroll through some other things that I had pulled up here to share with you guys that have come out recently as far as WVU football things are concerned. One of those is this list came out from 247 Sports. ranking the 12 most dynamic athletes at quarterback going into the 2024 season. And you can see our guy, man, Garrett Green, right there at number 3, just ahead of guy not too far down the road at Virginia Tech and Kyron Drones. But you see he's ahead of Jalen Daniels, who's there at 5. So, ranked as one of the top 3 most dynamic athletes at quarterback. No small feat. And then if you, I've got the write-up here, which I actually shared on social media. I shared it on our Twitter and on our Facebook. But the write-up here is even better, I think. This is from the article there that of course, the picture that the list is from there. But the article, as you see, Garrett Green rated number 3. They say the advanced analytics suggest Garrett Green is college football's most underrated returning quarterback in 2024. After he exploded onto the scene for the Mountaineers last season, he had led the FBS ranks in big-time throw percentage, 10.2% per PFF, and is rarely sacked when given his mobility. It's a dangerous comparison, and this is the part I liked, sure, but Green is the closest thing we've seen to Johnny Manziel in the power conference ranks in several years. And I've kind of always felt that their games kind of, were similar. I know Manziel's polarizing. Some people may not like him, so they, may not like the comparison. I get that as well. But I think, when you look on field skills, that's not somebody, that you don't want to be compared to. When it's a former Heisman winner being compared to our, current quarterback, I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week. He is lethal on the move and can move the chains with his feet or finding guys at the second level when the secondary begins to close in. So a lot of praise from Garrett Green this offseason from multiple sources. We've seen it from PFF a lot, but there you get it from, 247 Sports as well. So pretty cool to see that. And, speaking of PFF and their praise of some of kind of our guys, I've got a few things pulled up here where they've praised some other guys along the offense as well. So let's take a look here. Some things that they've come out with here. PFF grades, highest graded returning Big 12 wide receivers. You see our guy, Hudson Clement, former walk-on, magical year last year, earns that scholarship in that Duquesne game, goes off, which I just did a commentary for that Duquesne game on the members-only side of the channel. If you hit the join button down below, join at the Almost Heaven level, you can watch some game rewatch commentaries and including the ability to, request your own game rewatch. But I just did that Duquesne game, and, man, it was fun watching his performance again and can't wait to see how he carries it on. You see PFF highly regarding him as well. 78.3 grade there, making him the 6th highest graded returning Big 12 wide receiver. And then we also look here, some more love from PFF. And this one's to a guy that you guys know I really like in Jaheim White. My favorite player personally, but he's actually the second highest graded returning running back in the conference there. And, when I look through this list, that's kind of what stands out to me is besides Abu Sama down there at Iowa State, Jaheim White's the one that really, all these other guys have a lot of experience under their belt. They're junior, senior players, but Jaheim White and Abu Sama at Iowa State, guys that are just getting started. So, we're just seeing the beginning of, what Jaheim White can do and will do this year. And then lastly, but certainly not least, another guy that's going to be a key cog in this offense that put on a special performance last year, really, one that we haven't seen a West Virginia tight end do in, 40 or 50 years. So we're talking about Cole Taylor, 6'7" weapon for the Mountaineers, and he's also the second highest graded returning player at the Big 12 in his position there. Among tight ends, you see him coming out with the 75.5 grade. Of course, Malik Carr graded through the roof for Houston, but Cole Taylor there, very highly regarded, and think he's set for another special season this year, really. West Virginia has a ton of weapons on that offense. It's going to be hard to, it's really just pick your poison if you're a defense, I think, this year with all the weapons that West Virginia is going to employ. And let's not forget, I don't have it here, but I believe Wyatt Milam was also the highest graded returning offensive lineman in the conference. So West Virginia, not short on weapons here offensively for this upcoming season. And speaking of that, let's talk about some of the other pieces that they brought in to kind of join both, that offense and, of course, the West Virginia defense, things that they've done to improve. You guys have seen me cover every transfer that's come in here on a transfer update previously on the channel. You can find that in the transfer portal playlist here on the CRW. But how about transfer class ranking? We thought West Virginia did a bit better job in the portal this offseason than they had in years past, both in, retaining guys and then going out and really getting some guys that can really help you. And it seems like the ratings show that out as well. This is from WVSN, Mike Asti coming with this one. But even though West Virginia was coming off a successful season, we were wondering how they would do in terms of transfers. Taking into account who WVU has brought on so far and who has departed, on 3 has West Virginia rated as the number 16 transfer portal class in the country, which, even better when you look at it in terms of conference here. this puts West Virginia second in the Big 12 in terms of transfer portal classes, behind only Colorado, who obviously lost a ton of guys, had to replace a ton of guys. So just on the sheer number of transfers they're bringing in, they're going to have, a high grade. But West Virginia right there is the second best program in the Big 12 there. Added 11 new players, granting the ratings for those losses significantly below the additions. And that goes back into what I'm saying about a lot of the pieces that West Virginia lost really were, guys that you could afford to lose for the most part. You didn't lose a ton of starters or, impact guys like you had in years past. This year, it was a lot of role players, guys further down the depth chart that you could kind of see, okay, I understand why that guy's leaving. And also it opens up a spot for a guy that could come in and be a contributor. And West Virginia's done a good job finding, I think all of the transfers they brought in pretty much have a good chance to contribute this season, say for, 2 or 3 guys that may be more future pieces. But for the most part, a lot of these transfers are going to contribute right away. So not surprised to see that transfer portal class, ranked that high for West Virginia. And then other than that, the only thing that I've got, guys, is a little bit of a, recruiting update. We know West Virginia's having some camps here soon. They're going to have some guys on campus. We're going to be on the lookout for some commits for sure in the near future to continue to add to this 2025 class. You just added Gavin Crawford on the offensive line, continuing that offensive line, pipeline they have going to Good Counsel High School right now. Kyle Altuner last year. This year, you got Buchanan and now Crawford as well. But West Virginia, of course, still after, several guys here. So let's see. This is the recruits that will be participating in some WVU football camps. This from Mike Asti as well over on WVSN. You're going to get Jack Wilson, a linebacker out of Wisconsin. You see him shouting it out there on social media. You're going to get Brody Church, who's kind of an athlete there. He's also from the state of Florida. And then you're going to get Chaz Coleman, who's a quarterback / athlete out of Ohio. And then Jordan Cooper, a linebacker there, in-state product. So we know West Virginia is trying to lock down the state, always keep those guys around. So he is going to be on campus as well. And then Dante Capagna, a 2025 wide receiver / athlete out of New Jersey, is kind of who rounds that up there as far as recruits taking part in WVU football camp. And then the last piece and thing I had here was just another thing of recruiting news, and then I'll catch up on some of your all's comments, and we'll get ready to wrap this one up before too much longer, guys. Didn't have too many things I wanted to talk about, but I will stay on here as long as you guys want to chat. So if you got any comments, questions, concerns, throw them in there, and we'll talk with you guys a little bit. But the last thing that I wanted to share here was WVU getting into the top 3 for Deuce Edwards, a 2025 cornerback that they are targeting. You see he's going to commit here on June 22nd. His top 3 is WVU, VT, and Michigan State. 6'1", 180-pound corner, pretty highly regarded, top 50 cornerback nationally by most. There he is on his visit there to WVU. But I will let you guys know, not to say that this is ever set in stone or anything, but he is crystal balled currently to commit to Virginia Tech by a couple different, recruiting specialists. So, he made the top 3, but it's looking more like a Virginia Tech lean, but that doesn't mean that West Virginia could sneak in and, steal him away still yet. But good to see West Virginia in, contention, and glad to see West Virginia going after some highly regarded recruits that they've done a good job with already in this 2025 class. And I think they're going to continue to stack these commits over the next couple of weeks, and I'll continue to report on them here on the CRW. So stick with me here if you're a WVU football fan, especially if you like to follow recruiting. I'll be covering all those verbal commitments as they come in, because they continue to build this 2025 class. But I've talked too much. Now I got to wet my whistle, take a sip of this water, but encourage you guys, throw anything you got there in the chat. I'll catch up on those real quick, and then we'll get ready to wrap this thing up before too much longer. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this May 30th live stream here on the CRW. David Friedline, appreciate you, man, as always, tuning in and chiming in here. He says, yes, screwed up, Jordan. I saw the title. It said 5:30, the date. It could rain $100 bills, and I would get hit with the giant cucumber upside the head. Great job. Can't wait to beat Penn. Hey, I appreciate that, David, man. Hey, no worries, man. That's all good. It's all good. Like, you hopped in here, at least you caught it before the tail end, and that's what the playback's for, right? You can go back and catch up on what you missed. But pretty much, I kind of just covered the kickoff times early, and then after, sharing the release from WVU, kind of ran it a little bit about how I was mad that it's a noon kickoff considering that we had to play a night game at Penn State last year. But the silver lining is it is Fox big noon kickoff, and, it's a show that we can go watch, similar to College Game Day, and probably should, draw a good crowd on campus. And even with it being a noon kickoff, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a madhouse. So I'm not complaining by any means. I just hope we come out and show up and show out in that game and really play Penn State tough this year. And I think we got a great chance. Playing at home, we're double-digit underdogs. That's going to be a motivating factor for us. We're definitely going to cover that spread. That's my guarantee is that we'll cover it. I thought we'd cover it last year, and we did until Penn State, punched in that last final touchdown by James Franklin, just kind of that low move that he did. But this year, hopefully, I'm sure that we remember that, and that'll be something else that's in the back of our mind when we're out there giving it to them on August 31st at noon. Now that we know noon for the first game, 6 for the second, and then 3:30 against those stinking Pitt Panthers. But other than that, guys, I think that's pretty much all I got here. If you guys don't have anything else, we'll get ready to wrap this one up. But I do want to say I appreciate you guys that tuned into this live, or even if you're watching on the playback. And like I said, if you just hit that thumbs up button, it really helps a ton with that YouTube algorithm. And if you're a WVU football fan, be sure to subscribe here. Those are the easy and free ways that you can help the channel. But if you'd like to support the channel further, that little join button down there beside the Country Roads Webcast name really helps a ton. Helps support me, helps me be able to keep doing this. And also, it really gives you some bonus content. Once the season starts, there'll be early podcast episodes there at that first level. You get priority and, chat and comments. And then, of course, you go up to the top level, you get the game rewatch commentaries. You get to choose, your own game rewatch commentary that you'd like to see put up there. There's going to be members only live streams, all of that as we continue to, grow the membership community here at the Country Roads Webcast. But I appreciate you being a part of the CRW community in any facet here as we continue to try and cover WVU football in the lead up to what I feel like is going to be a really fun and successful 2024. And the last thing I got, how could I forget? I mean, you guys probably saw it in the YouTube short, but I figured you guys would want to see it live and in person. Had to pull out the Neil Breezy shirt, guys. Shout out to Trey Lathan, man. Did an awesome job on these. Saw him at the spring game, and when he said he was going to start selling them, knew I'd have to get me one. So got that done as well. Notice we got Pat White's autograph knocked down over there. Got to get old Pat White stood up there. But other than that, guys, guess that will pretty much put a bow on this May 30th live stream here on the Country Roads Webcast. Appreciate everyone hopping in here, whether you watched it live or on the playback. If you are watching on that playback and didn't get a chance to, share your thoughts in the chat, leave them in the comments. I'll try and respond to you in text form, but I'll be back again soon to talk some more WVU football. Hopefully we're talking about some commitments there on the recruiting side, but nonetheless, any news that comes along the way, we'll be talking about it here on the Country Roads Webcast, and we'll be back with another live stream in the near future where I can chat and talk some WVU football with you guys as well. But having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.